John Callahan from GoFusion, welcome. Luc Cavalier from Bright Pattern, welcome to you. And David Rickard, back to you again. Thanks very much. I'll hand straight over.
Okay. Thank you, Kerry. Yeah, apologies you got me again, but I'm not planning to do too much speaking. I'll leave that to these good fellows. So, as you knew, I'm Dave Rickard from the Knowledge Group. I'll get John and Luke to introduce themselves. Just a little warning that I did a prep call with them for the first time on Monday. They do like to talk, so if I do have to tell them to stop talking, I'm not being rude, they do expect it, but I've got to try and keep it to time. So, John, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I'm John Callahan from a business called GoFusion. We describe ourselves as a business outcomes partner.
Luc Cavalier, running EMEA for Bright Pattern, technology contact center solution, including AI. One of those dinosaurs in the call center, 39 years in this industry.
Thanks, Luke. He said 39 years, and we all think that's a long time, but actually quite a few of us around this room have probably got 30 as well, so we're catching you up. So what we're talking about today, just on the panel, so 15, 20 minutes, is customer experience and the future of customer experience. And I think that people would probably expect that we're going to lead with, it's all about AI. And we can't say that it's not about AI as part of it. But I think that what we're seeing from my time at TKG, which has been 4 weeks, as I said earlier, or my time at Everest, is that AI is a hot topic, and there's lots of discussions that are going on about AI, and everyone is obsessed with the impact of AI on customer experience. But the data doesn't necessarily show that it's having that massive impact. We're not seeing massive drops in agent headcount. We are seeing that costs are dropping, but that's because people are also looking at more at traditional labour arbitrage, or they're looking to drive efficiencies. And where we did research in the past, where we've seen that AI is actually deployed in call centres, it's all about agent assist. It's helping the agent be more efficient. It's not necessarily replacing that agent. So I think a lot of the doom mongering around it's going to kill the contact centre world, I think is a little bit too early. We are definitely seeing it play a big part in trying to drive efficiencies, and it will come. But what we really wanted to talk about is just trying to give some other perspectives on what else are we seeing, and bearing in mind that this audience is a group of business leaders and sourcing and procurement leaders. What should you be thinking about as you think about customer experience? And yes, AI is part of that, but it's not the only issue. And the team will touch on a number of things. So maybe let's start with technology. Luke, when we've done this prep call and we have prepared for this, it might not look like it, but we have. When we did the prep call, we talked a lot about the technical issues that you have to think about and be prepared for. So maybe you can just start by giving us a few words of wisdom around what we're seeing from a tech perspective.
Well, I'm going to touch the one thing that hasn't been touched for the whole day is about data sovereignty. And so I've been hearing a lot about managing the data, managing the AI agents, managing all of that, but no one is talking about where the hell that data is run. So being a technology provider, taking care of the Middle East for the moment, I like Trump because they destroyed AWS and Google in that region, meaning that most of the banks and the telcos were out of business. Why? The data were in AWS and Google. So I'm just want to warn you that this is one of the things that no one is thinking about, but think where your data are going to be. Think also about the use case that you're going to be running versus just the practice and the legal terms about AI, because there's a lot more around that.
Short.
Thank you, Luke. That was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, so thank you. So John, from an operational perspective, and you've got a lot of experience in this industry too, again, what are you seeing, or what do you think from a CX perspective people need to be thinking about? Where is the future of CX going, and what should we be preparing for?
Okay, so I think the technology and processes in CX has been moving rapidly for the last 10, 15 years. But one thing that people are not keeping up with is actually the people involved. So I think from my perspective, what I'm seeing is quick adoption of technology that doesn't quite resonate with the overall strategy of the business in terms of what does CX look like, but also the people. So a lot of the easy things are going. They're getting automated quickly, and that's leaving the complicated elements of a contact with a customer, whether inbound or outbound. And the agents are not getting better equipped in terms of training, insights, mental health, and even salaries. So I think at the moment, as always, it's the people that are being squeezed as technology improves. On a good note, where it is implemented correctly with the operational team, the digital assistant, I think, is working marvelously well and is creating a big difference because it creates an ease of use, ease of serve for the agents as well as the customers. So I think for me, I'd be looking at people, skill sets, investment salaries, and moving away from low skill set, low cost environments to high skill set environments.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because actually one of the things that we've seen grow over the last couple of years is people starting to think about locations, but moving beyond where do I go next, which is low cost, but actually where is going to have the skills that I need. And we've seen a lot of organizations starting to now think about what skills will we need in our call centers in the future, not what we've got today, and where are the best source of those locations. So people today heavily in the Philippines, heavy in India, obviously other onshore, nearshore locations, but starting to think about other emerging locations we should be considering, or are the Philippines, are India capable of doing what we need to do? And I know a lot of the industry bodies are talking a lot about how they upskill the industry as well. So it's really important to think about what skills do people need and where are going to be the sources of that talent. Because as you need less people, you may be able to pay more for higher skilled people and still balance the books. So I think that is really important to think about. The other thing I think I would say that we're seeing underestimated in the CX world is the need to actually change and look at your processes. I think people just think that AI is going to fix all of our bad processes, and it sounds really obvious, but it doesn't fix all of your bad processes. And actually, business process re-engineering, which was a thing 20 odd years ago or so, actually is still key. You wouldn't call it that because it's not sexy enough and you probably wouldn't sell it. But actually, that looking at what your processes are and how they work and re-engineering them for a world of AI or being able to embrace technology is going to be really important. And I think that's a little bit underplayed. People just think, I'm just going to put some AI on this and it'll suddenly be better. It doesn't work like that. And actually, I think that's an area that's underestimated as well. Luke, just back to you in terms of when we think about the horizon for customer experience, what would you say are some of the areas that, again, as leaders in the room, they should be thinking about when it comes to technology? So you've talked about data sovereignty. What other areas should they be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that we're doing with our clients is understanding exactly the use case and just tailoring, based upon what they need to do. So if you work into ITSM world, ITM world, if you work in, something that can be automated pretty easily, that's okay. As soon as you're talking about a virtual agent, it's becoming a bit more complex. You're talking about RAG, you're talking about knowledge base, you're talking about a number of different things. The technology is there partially, but it's also depending on the power, the GPUs that are available, because it's not only the technology, but it's also the way and where it's going to run, and if the GPUs are going to be available, because it's not always the case. It's what we're saying is really to define the use case, and then based upon that use case to build something around it that makes sense. And then you're going to see the revenue, let's say, coming up or reducing the cost. Maybe not, because most of the time when you talk about the Philippines, you're talking about India, AI will cost more than what an agent costs. So you need to think about that also. Sometimes you may be surprised when you do the analysis, and we're not talking about token. For us, we're charging per hour, not per token. But the AI agents may cost a lot more than what a human cost. Now, I'm saying a lot more can be going up to 5 to 10 times more. Just bear that in mind.
John, anything from your perspective? Again, just thinking about it from, I know we've got a mix of service providers and buyers in the room, but as you think about it from an operational perspective, where are the key things that if you're thinking about delivering an exceptional customer experience, it might be measurements, it might be how you operate, it might be how you contract. What are the things that are really sort of top of mind for you?
As always, a look at where the contact's been created and how can you be more proactive. So everyone's talking about hyper-personalization now. So you've got the data, you've got the tools, you've got the technology. So how are you proactively looking at that? I'll take energy in the industry. How many, about 80% of calls are regarding the bill. How can you get the bill wrong? Why are they not doing more to be proactive in that data? So I think that they should be doing more proactive elements from a CX point of view. CX isn't when you call to complain, experiences from the moment they buy and the moment it goes wrong. So I think that there's not enough being talked about on the things they can do there. So the pressure comes back after the fact. So again, I think there's tools that should be utilized in that way. So that's the big thing for me on the operational side, but also AI. I'm seeing a lot of mental health tools come into play to help build the training and the respites that the agents need in a much more complex world where vulnerability isn't a minority anymore. Vulnerable customers that need empathy is rapidly growing in the UK, where technology is not really helping.
Brilliant. Another question which I've always wanted to ask, and we've not prepared for it, but I'd love to get an answer for this, which is, we've all sat here and talked about how long we've spent in the industry, and we're all tapping ourselves on the back for that like it's a good thing. But we also know that customer experience is pretty dreadful right now. And whether that's because our expectations are higher, whether it's for other reasons, but really would love to understand from the esteemed panel, why is customer experience so bad? What has not been done? So then we can learn from that. Because I think you have to think about, well, what's been gone wrong in the past to fix it for the future. So why is customer experience so bad? I want to qualify that. It might not be that it's worse than it used to be, but it seems a lot worse or can feel a lot worse when you get pushed to a bar or you can't get through because they're not open because they're too busy, or you get the usual, your call is important to us, but you're going to wait 20 minutes. Well, it's not that important to you if you're making me wait 20 minutes. So just from your perspective, why isn't the industry so bad if we've all been focused on it and hopefully we're all relatively intelligent? Why haven't we fixed it?
I don't want to hurt anyone, but simply because everybody wants to do it cheaper, faster, without thinking, or less thinking. That's my first point of view. And you see that on a daily basis. You get called for, I want to have a better price. I just want to pay less. Why? Well, so I think that's really what the customer experience from the past and up to now. AI may help to change that to a certain extent. If you do quality management, auto scoring, and all of that on the background, it's not a human that's going to do it. It's the AI, which will give relatively a better feedback than a human listening to a number of the calls. But yeah, that's more or less my point of view.
John?
I think it's a bit of a paradox, to be honest. I think it's expectation. As we go, as generations change, there's an expectation. A lot of us in this room remember dial-up on the internet and waiting for it and it making lots of noises at you. Now we throw the router out the window when we don't get it instantly. So I think I don't think it's got worse. Necessarily. I think working directly in operations and seeing those people work hard every day to deliver a good service. And again, I go, customer experience isn't just after it goes wrong. So again, I think that expectation management is probably the biggest issue, and it probably has got dramatically better than waiting an hour on a call. But we expect everything instantly. That's my view.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and I think that I totally agree, right? I know people in contact centers work really hard to drive a great experience, but a lot of the time they're not enabled, or it's been, how do we manage failure at the lowest cost? And I think what you guys said as well is, how do you go and eliminate the root cause? Because that's where you're going to add real value. So instead of the issue happening, I know the Amazon model of like no call or the best service is no service, etc. But customers are having to ring, and then being able to invest in the customer experience, I think, is where we're looking at. Just want to start thinking a little bit about the future. So if you're thinking about, again, the audience, what would you be advising them to be thinking about that's coming down the line from a customer experience perspective? You touched on that a little bit, hyper-personalization, etc. But maybe from a technology perspective, and then from an operations perspective, I'll start with one, just in case you steal it, because I only have one idea. So, but my area that I'm really interested in doing more sort of evaluation on is, we're going to get to a point where you have AI agents of your customers talking to your AI agents. And I don't think in the world that we're in today, businesses are ready for that. I could instruct my AI assistant to go and talk to like my bank's AI assistant, let them talk and come back with the answer. Some people say they're already there. I don't think they're really there. But actually, how are you going to contract for that? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to score that from a quality perspective? And so there's lots of areas, I think, when you start really thinking about AI agent to AI agent, that's really interesting and really exciting, that I don't think organizations are thinking about yet. Yes, there's a few. I've spoken to a few in the past, but many haven't even got to that point yet. And they're not even fully embracing the bot technology that we've got today. But that's area where I really think is going to be a game changer, is when you have AI agents talking to AI agents and you're not in the middle. And that could be because you're not then putting them also through your normal channels. So how do you control the cost when it could come in from anywhere? So that's an area that I think businesses need to be thinking about if you're not thinking about it already. But Luke, John, maybe just start with you guys, and maybe start with John for a change.
As I'm still thinking of an answer. I'm not going to talk about the AI tool because I think there's still questions about sustainability. Everybody using AI in the world, do we have enough clean water and power to generate that? But my question is that it remains true. The people that will be successful in CX is the same people that are successful today, and they're the ones that care. They're the ones that are part of their strategy and how that filters down. So you look at Apple, you talk about Amazon, you talk about Octopus Energy. Those are the businesses that are leading in terms of great customer service and experience because they live and breathe it. They don't live and breathe it as a cost center. They live and breathe it as part of who they are and how they grow. And I think, you can look at all the stats. The people, any business that puts that at the heart, their customer experience at the heart, are the ones that will grow faster and more sustainable. So I think it's do the same, follow those models. I think one of the legal people said, be curious. I couldn't echo that enough. It's okay putting AI, but if you're not curious as a business and don't understand your current state, then what are you going to invest in and how are you going to move forward? So I think there's models out there that exist already. I think it's looking at that and duplicating them.
Yeah, I mean, earlier on, somebody says, look at the mass and go the other way around. That's I think, one of the aspects. But one thing that's going to be funny is finally the British are going to be able to speak another language because translation is going to be the next one. I'm joking when I'm saying this, but I'm doing that for the Americans also. I'm Belgian. So I speak 5 languages. That's the reason. But so, I mean, AI is definitely going to be something which will impact everything, and CX definitely. It can automate part of this. It can do a lot more. It will help solving issues and assisting agents to give a better service, because that's what's going to train them also to provide a better service. But it's definitely there. It's still, I'm not going to say like RPA, the one that was supposed to replace everyone that didn't. It's more or less AI. I mean, everybody believes that AI will replace human. It's not going to be the case. It's going to be the case for some aspect, but it's not going to be the case for all of the aspects.
Brilliant. So we're out of time. I think just to summarise what we've talked about, I think that BPO has been dead forever, and it hasn't really died, but it was supposed to be dead with RPA. It's been supposed to be dying with lots of things. And I think that BPO, and whatever you want to call it, because it's not cool to call stuff BPO anymore, whatever we call it is still going to be around. I think that AI is going to be a really important tool and enabler to customer experience, but it's not the only thing. And I think that people who underestimate the importance of talent are really missing a trick, because actually there's still going to need to be talent, and you need to look for those sources of talent. So hopefully that's been useful just from a customer experience lens, but the 3 of us are around for the rest of the afternoon if you've got any questions.
Thank you very much.